creators, how are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators podcast episode where we are going to talk about managing maybe something that can become one of the biggest headaches of your business, but also translate maybe into some of the best business for your business. And that is email. It's not something that we normally talk about on a channel about how to grow on YouTube, but I think this is a very important topic because as your channel grows and as your audience grows and as you have more and more people wanting to get your attention, this becomes a very, I don't know if the right word is overwhelming, but for me, it felt overwhelming, the amount of messages and things that were coming in. And I was like, well, what do I do? Should I delete all these, respond to all these? Like if I respond to all these, I won't have time to work on the business side of what I do or make more videos or more content. And so I got to a point where I just felt really, really stuck. I'm like, I can't just ignore all these people, but how do I manage just this onslaught of email and all these other things that are like good opportunities, but how do I manage which are the good opportunities and which ones are just distractions disguised as opportunities? And so I have my personal executive assistant with me. Stephanie Whittick is with us here today, and she has been doing awesome at helping me with this. And so I asked her, I was like, can you come and help other creators, other small business owners, people who are also turning what they're doing into a business, and now they're faced with this problem, this dilemma of how do I manage all the incoming inquiries? And if you're not there yet, you definitely want to learn this before you get there, because Stephanie's going to help you avoid a lot of headaches and set up systems from the very beginning that are going to make this a lot easier for you going forward. So I am very much excited diving into this, and it's great to have you here with us, Stephanie. So thank you for joining us. For anyone who doesn't know who you are, who are you? This is, who am I? Yeah, on the podcast. You usually, well, I don't want to give it away. Yeah, tell us who you are, and then I'll probably hype you up a little bit more because I know you're pretty humble.
Thank you. Hello, friends, fellow creators. My name is Stephanie. If you have ever emailed us at Video Creators or like tim@videocreators.com, I'm probably who you got an answer from. I'm a real person, not a robot.
Who has feelings.
Who has feelings. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, depending on your emails. But yeah, Tim hired me, I think, mostly to deal with emails because he doesn't really like dealing with emails very much. So I do a little bit of that, do some of our social media. I do some content, like repurposing it on our blog and send those out as emails to our list as well, and just kind of other random things Tim asks me to do from time to time.
Yeah. Her job is to make sure I do everything I'm supposed to do in the order I'm supposed to do it in and do it all on time and don't miss things. So she does all my travel, my scheduling, and helps figure out, like, Tim, I think this is an opportunity that you should consider versus like just marrying the ones that I, should be paying attention to. Because as you guys know, as business owners, you can get really bogged down in working in your business instead of on your business. And as soon as that starts happening and you're just stuck working in your business, it's going to be very hard to grow, probably impossible to scale, get to the next level, and really serve people the way you really want to serve them. So it's not a selfish thing. It's just like, how do we serve and help the most number of people possible? That's what we're going to be talking about here today. So Stephanie, where are you from? You live in Florida, right? Married, dog? Tell us a little about your story.
I mean, you gave it all away. Yes. I am pretty much a Florida native. I've been all over, have family all over, but we are based in Orlando, Florida. So yes, I'm a big old Disney fan. We love the theme parks. Yes, I have a dog, a husband, first of all. His name is Sam.
They're not the same thing.
And a dog with him named Oakley. He's a little tri-colored Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. We love it here. It's nice and sunny. Although it's been raining like a lot, kind of scary torrential downpour.
Yeah,
I know it does that in the summer, but
yeah, we had some yesterday, but it cleared up today, and now it's back to the 90-degree weather, which makes me thankful we have a pool, because
Yeah.
the kids are been definitely using that a lot lately. If you guys are here in the live stream and we want to make sure we're answering your questions, I know email is not a topic that a lot of people get super excited about, but you're going to need this. Like if you don't already, you're going to need this as your channel grows. So we want to make sure we set you up for success. So we'll be taking your questions from the chat, and Mary, I think, is here. Maximus Minibus, if she's here in the chat. You can tag her with your questions and she will put them in front of us. We'll make sure we answer as many of your questions as we can here in just a second. We want to get through some content first, and then as questions pop up about the content that we're going to be talking about, definitely ask them in the chat, post them there, and we will do our best to answer as many of them we can, because we don't want to just like, hey, we've got some good ideas. We want to make sure that we are helping you guys move forward with your content and your businesses and your strategy and everything as well. So make sure you ask, and we'll dive into them here in a second. And I haven't seen Mary in the chat yet, but if she's here, she will we'll have her pop up, and she will be looking for your questions and putting them here in front of us today. Let's see here. What's next? Follow my okay. Before we dive into our topic and helping you figure out how to manage an onslaught of email as a YouTube creator, as a small business owner, and share with you behind the scenes of, I was going to say what we do, but really it's just what Stephanie does to manage all this. I want to introduce you guys to Chad and Tara as our creator spotlight for this week. I worked with Chad and Tara on a channel called Changing Lanes, and it's an RV channel. And what was really fun about this conversation is that I do a lot of consultations every week, which is great, but they often revolve around, how do I hack the algorithm? How do I get more views, more subscribers? How do I grow this thing? And I love those conversations. But this was a different conversation. This focused a lot more heavily on the business side of, Tim, we've got an audience. We've got 90,000 coming in close to 100,000 subscribers pretty quickly. And we're already making a decent amount of money, but we don't really think we're doing anything on purpose with how we're making money. And it's just kind of a little bit through affiliates, a little bit through Patreon, a little bit through these product sales, and they had all these other ideas, and it was just like, what step do we take next to turn this audience we've grown into a business? And I had a really fun time hanging out with Chad and Tara. Chad definitely thinks like the business side and the strategy side, and Tara is very much on the creative side, the expression side. So those two combined together make for a really good team, and I'm really excited. But I want to share with you guys a little clip, a little introduction to them and their story, and they want to share some insights that I think will help you move forward with turning your channel into a business as well. I have had so much fun hanging out with Chad and Tara here, talking about their channel. You guys at Changing Lanes are doing some really fun stuff. It's been a lot of fun to see what you guys are doing. Tell us about your channel and what you guys are doing there.
Yeah, we do primarily RV living and lifestyle videos, both our travels and how-tos and things like that.
Yeah, and this guy's pretty smart, pretty technical, so he's the go-to guy for all the how-to RV stuff. So.
Yeah, I like checklists and documentation,
but we also like to have a lot of fun and go out and explore and all the new areas that we go to. So we show the RV lifestyle, but we also do the how to live in your RV and function.
Yeah. Right, and RV lifestyle while we still work full time. So it's kind of makes it accessible. Hey, it is possible to still keep a job and do that job everywhere.
Yeah, and health issues and everything. You guys are like, we got all these obstacles and we're just dominating every single one of them to go live the life that we dream of. That's awesome. So we spent some time here talking. This has been a fun conversation for me. Thank you. It's been a little bit different than a lot of the conversations I have. So it's been fun. You guys are working really hard on the business side of your channel. What are some of the key takeaways from our conversation that we've had here that you think you're going to move forward with on your channel to really help us start generating more revenue and money and get to that spot where you need it to be?
Well, you gave us some really good ideas on things we could provide as far as products and making money on that side. But I think one of the biggest things is how we're going to be able to delegate some stuff and get some of our time back.
Yeah.
because our YouTube channel is doing very well, but at the cost of lots and lots and lots of time. I don't think people realize how much time.
Yeah.
People think, oh, look, a video magically appeared.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we're very driven as far as wanting to watch our channel grow and be successful. So we put pretty much everything that we have into growing the business.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're just, we hardly have time for ourselves. So, your help and giving us pointers and pointing us in different directions that we didn't even really think about would be proper venues for us. But
this business isn't our natural where we've only been doing this for 2 years, so we didn't know what we didn't know, essentially.
Yeah.
And you really helped out with some of that.
Yeah. You helped us know what we don't know.
Yeah. Well, good. Now you guys move forward. Hopefully there's a couple different ways to approach this. It's like, maybe we can hire people, but if you're not making enough money yet, like, how do you hire people? So that's a challenge. But this principle, I think, is really helpful for me in my business, is like don't get stuck working in the business, but work on the business. And so it's like, we could put a lot of time and energy into this thing because it generates, let's say, $2,000 a month. But here's this other thing over here that if we spent half the amount of time, it might make, let's say, $5,000 a month, right? So it's like, where do we focus our time? What do we say no to? What do we say yes to? And how do we move forward? Those are all very hard choices to make, but in the end, hopefully are made based on the actual goals that you're trying to accomplish and where you want to go and your target audience and what you value too, and what you find fun and not fun and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, one of your stories that stuck out in my head always was when you decided to take $3,000 out of savings and you said, okay, I'm going to pay this person $3,000, but I got to make, I don't know, what, 15,000 or something.
15, yeah.
Over
3 months.
Over 3 months, and then it ended up doing much better. So
actually, no, it was $3,000 savings. I need to make $9,000 back by the end of 3 months with the time you freed up, and instead I made $15,000 in the first month. So it took me out of the editing and gave me the time to now focus on what now is Video Labs as a product, but back then it didn't exist. But definitely paid dividends since then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
What do
think
you guys want to? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you really got us thinking in a different direction, and some things that we had never even thought that could be a possibility for us.
Right.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see where you guys go with it. I think if anyone's going to kill it, it's going to be you guys. You guys are hard workers. You're already doing so many things well on your channel. You don't get to almost 90,000 subscribers by accident. So congratulations on that. And it'll be fun to see how you guys grow and move forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We would love to dive in with you. If you guys are thinking like, hey, I want to grow my channel. I want to grow my business. Maybe similarly to what Chad and Tara are doing on, maybe you just feel a little stuck with how do I move forward? How do I make money doing this? I really think that it can be one of the best investments you make into your business. And I don't say that because it's me or my team, mostly because I see the results. I see like how creators come out on the other side of this almost every time. Like for the creators who are willing to make the investment and do the work, it's just so exciting to see them come out on the other side with a growing business, with making money, with serving people better than they ever could have before. And we would love to do that with you too. So you can sign up for a 1-hour consultation with myself or Lennon or Delana or any of the strategists on my team at videocreators.com/consulting, videocreators.com/consulting. And we look forward to hopefully working with you soon. All right, those of you guys who are in the chat, looks like Mary is not here. So welcome to Chickenlandia. Welcome. Thank you. She's jumping in. She's going to be taking your questions. So make sure you tag her. Her name's Dahlia. She's awesome. At Welcome to Chickenlandia. Put your questions in front of her and she will put them in front of us so we can make sure we answer as many of them as possible here as we dive into our content on how to manage your emails. So, Stephanie, how many emails do you think we do every single day?
That's actually the first thing I had in my notes.
Oh, look at that.
It actually depends on the day or like the season, because there are times where, having sales or like pushing certain things in our business. But on average, it's probably about 100 emails or so a day between Tim's inbox and the team inbox.
So you guys who are creators, just think of like, and this couldn't, I mean, we're going to talk about emails, but maybe you have comments on YouTube and other things that are just like, you're thankful for your community, but there's so much time to engage with every single one. And that hold you back from actually serving people on a broader scale the way that you would like. So Stephanie, I remember what it was like before you came on board. Actually, I've had several other people help me with email management and things as well, and they all eventually moved on to other different parts in our business. So they're all still here, whether it be Grace or Catherine or someone else. But I remember I was getting to this point. I'm like, they're doing awesome, but we just need one person who can just be dedicated to managing the email, making us look good, serving people way better in a message than I could serve them. And so you've been doing a good job with that. What are some strategies that you've learned while you've been working here with us that would really help you deal with an influx of emails that are just constantly coming in? Because you're being expected to be like a YouTube expert, a customer service expert, someone who can spot good opportunities, and a filter, a gatekeeper. That's like a lot of different roles for one person. So as creators, I think we feel like we could never hand that role over because no one else knows the prior relationships that I have with other people. Who else is going to be able to know the answers to all the different questions that come in? So you were kind of thrown into that. And I feel like we had a couple things figured out, but not, you've definitely taken it to another level. So how would you help creators who maybe feel in that same space manage their communities better? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, for sure. So I had a couple strategies I wanted to share with you guys, some that already existed when I came on to the video creators team, and then some stuff I just kind of learned along the way. But the first thing I kind of wanted to share before we get into like practical strategies was just the importance of creating a system for your email management or process or whatever you want to call it. And I think Tim can kind of attest to this too, because it's okay if you are not the type A, super organized, very into planning person. I was about to ask
not
him.
Me. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, we did personality tests actually when I joined the team, and Tim was like, not me, not with speed. And that very much is me. So you can totally hire someone that is that way, and that's awesome. But even though Tim was not that way, he still understood the importance of creating this system so that when he onboarded me, it made my life so much easier to kind of know some of this stuff. And I'm sure when it was just him before he brought on our team now, he was kind of able to make his life a little bit easier, knowing he could cut down on his email time a bit. But then it does get to a point, I think, when you grow where it is just time to bring more people on. So I'm thankful for that because I love being on the team.
I felt like it was like, for me, doing email was great. I could serve a lot of people like one-to-one basis, and then the replies, but it quickly turned into like, how do I manage maybe 50 ongoing conversations all at once and then still have the time to grow the business that's going to make this valuable, sustainable for more people going forward, and still put the content out that they want? It's just like, I can't do everything. And I felt that like email is something we could scale, something that someone else could probably do better than me, because Stephanie will tell you, like, I am not good with email. I'll take like a week, 2 weeks. I think I have messages from like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, still in my inbox I need to reply to. Sorry, whoever you are. But yeah, so it was like, we needed to fix that for sure.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's why you hired me, and that's what we're going to talk about today. If you guys are kind of in the same boat, you're not alone. It's a hard thing. So I guess getting more into the like tangible, practical steps you can start if you have no idea where to start creating like an email system. Even if you're starting with 0 subscribers right now and you are just starting your channel, I would just kind of note these things, get a Google Doc out, and start thinking about kind of how you want to do this. So the first little tip that I have is to define your email objectives. So basically, like, what do you want to accomplish by answering your incoming emails? And this is just pretty important because either if you're newer, like, so let's say you are working full time right now and you're doing your YouTube and business on the side and you're having to film and edit and that all eats up a lot of time. So maybe you don't have a ton of time to answer your emails. Maybe you have like 15 to 30 minutes a day. So how do you want to spend that time? Like, what do you want to accomplish with that time that you're spending in emails? So I'm going to share a couple of examples of some of ours. You get the inside scoop on video creators, just that helped me, especially being onboarded, to know kind of how I needed to manage these emails. So a good one to note, even if you are a smaller creator or brand, you will grow eventually. And so a good one that helped me, like the main priority that I had coming in managing emails, was to save Tim time. Because like he just said, he is, overseeing all these different programs. He's doing consultations, he's running video labs, and he's working in the business. He's managing our whole team. He just does not have the time to personally answer every single email, or he wouldn't be able to deliver on the products and services that he promises to. So that was a really, really important one for me to know. And I think you would agree that was like pretty much my job description. Like, I just need you to save me time.
Yeah, but it's actually getting, the way I was thinking about it was make me look good because I was handling email and relationships in such a way that made me look bad. It wasn't because I didn't care about people or wasn't because I didn't want to help. It was just because like I just physically have limitations like everybody else, and I can't answer every email and serve every client and respond to every YouTube content and just be like a 10 out of 10 on every single one for every person. And so I had to start making choices on what do I need to do that no one else can do? And when I was first starting out, I felt like no one can do anything that I do. I need to edit the videos. I need to do the email. I need to do the calendar. I need to do the trial because I know what time I want to like. But as I've been, one, getting more desperate, and two, just learning like that's a pretty big ego to think that no one else can do what I do. And it's just not true. What it came down to is putting together better systems so that other people can do. I just hadn't identified the things that I do that create this outcome. And that was really the biggest challenge for me, was figuring out how to do that. Like, how do we set Stephanie up to know what my relationship with someone is like prior to responding? Those types of things. So I think we figured a lot of it out, but yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of going along with another objective we had was ensuring that we help and thank people. So if you have core values as a personal brand or like a business, you could draw some email objectives from there too. So people first is one of ours. We always want people to feel like they're emailing a person and not a robot. So we, make sure that we're taking time to answer each one thoroughly and like go above and beyond to provide them with resources. And then another good one I just wanted to mention is generating sales. And I don't think this has to be sleazy at all. Just pointing people to the right product or service for them, even if it's not like what you're selling. If you're like a lifestyle vlogger, even if someone had a question about something you were using in a video, pointing them to something you think would be good for them. So those are just some examples. I mean, you could do more or less, but that's just something I think that will help you if you're kind of a one-man show doing your own email right now. But then it will be really helpful when you onboard someone else to kind of know what's expected of them. So I know that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Tip number 2 that I had was deciding how you're going to organize your emails, or considering investing in an email management tool. And I'm so, so glad that I joined the team when we were already using this email management tool called Help Scout. I'm like, really have to try not to be like an ad for it right now.
You could be an ad for it. Yeah, we're not sponsored, but we do use it for even my personal email and everything. Yeah.
It's absolutely
we'll
amazing.
put an affiliate link in the show notes so you guys, it'll turn into a semi-ad.
It's just great. Like everyone on the team can see all the emails, you can assign it to different people, and you can pen stuff and come back to it. It's just, it's phenomenal. I love it. And you can like write notes back and forth. Yeah, it's great.
It's
So
supposed
I
to
would
be like a help desk type of thing for people. It's got like knowledge docs built in and thing, but we only use the email side, which is it's like a help support ticket system, but it looks and feels like email to the client. Like they don't know that they're going through a ticket support system. They just feel like they're doing a normal email, which is kind of what I was really looking for when we were looking for a system like that.
Yeah. So I love that. It makes my life easier. And that's what we use here at Video Creators. Also wanted to mention, it doesn't really matter what your domain is either. Like you don't have to create a new email. You can integrate that. So that's something to look for if you're like looking for a tool to invest in. But if you don't have the budget for that, totally fine. Another tool you could use is Trello, which we also use more for task management. But what you could do is if you have just like a Gmail account, you could create folders. So you could have maybe sponsorships and partnerships or client emails or customer emails, or you can kind of create folders that way. And then for bigger projects, you could put those into Trello. That's totally free. They have a free plan. And just kind of keep track of bigger projects that way. So that's kind of what I'd recommend. Do you have any?
Well, I remember when we first came on board, we were already using Help Scout for the team, like the general inbox of inquiries coming through the YouTube channel, the YouTube channel and the website and things. And it worked great because we could have like little notes and side conversations about people, or you could be like, hey, Tim, not about people, but like you could ask questions like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about responding. Is that right? And I could just jump in like, yes, no, or yes, but this, or whatever. And then we could have little side conversations associated with that email thread before you responded. You can assign different messages to different people and things like that. So it was a really good way to collaborate. But we were still using Gmail for my inbox when you first came on.
Right.
And our system there, if you have a team and you've got multiple people all doing this, Help Scout, hands down, definitely worth your money. If it's just like, hey, I don't have hundreds of emails coming in every day and I don't have a team, it's just going to be me and like one other person, then I think you can get away with Gmail. And what we were doing is we had a folder that was called For Tim. And if their message came through that you weren't sure how to handle or didn't want to handle or whatever, you would just move it into the For Tim box. And so whenever I go to check my email, I would just bookmark the link for my folder and just went straight to my folder and kind of skipped the inbox and just handled whatever messages were there. So that cut my email down pretty quickly from hundreds of emails down to like, I think at that time it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 a day maybe, which was significant improvement. And now I do maybe 4 or 5 a week. But yeah, so you can just get started just doing it with a better system in Gmail if that's all you got and all you want to do. You can work there too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I guess getting into the email, like once you've created your objectives, you've decided how you want to keep it all organized. Once I get started, I open up Help Scout and there's hundreds of emails. The first thing I do just to get rid of my personal notification anxiety, because I don't know, I'm like, oh, okay, 100. I just get rid of all the junk mail or mail that's clearly from a robot or like an email list or something that we don't need to answer to. And a lot of the time,
whom it may concern.
Yeah.
We should just set up a filter to auto delete those. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the time it's like 50 of those or half of those were junk mail or like newsletters and stuff like that. So
Dear sir / ma'am, we love your channel. We want you to feature our new mascara. Like, did they even look at my channel?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
We do. Yeah. Yeah. So that's just a quick thing I like to do to kind of clear out a lot of our stuff that doesn't need to be answered. Sometimes though, I do just get started with email because sometimes I'm not sure about it or I'll just leave it alone and look back at it later. The next thing I'll do, these are kind of two things. I will start chronologically because, people appreciate fast response times. So usually the last email that was maybe last night, they emailed in, but I wasn't working because I was off. I will go start my morning and respond to them first and then work my way from bottom to top.
Okay. So oldest email to most recent email.
Yes. Thank you. I don't know why I was having such a hard time saying that.
Yep. You're good.
And then answering easy emails first, I think it's going to save you a lot of time. And by that, I just mean frequently asked questions, like emails that you just already know the answer to. I don't have to ask Tim because it's not some weird question or case or something. I usually like to get those out of the way, and Help Scout has a feature where if it is just a crazy customer service thing and I have to ask Tim about it, or say a sponsorship that I'm going to have to do a bunch of research on the brand to make sure it'd be a good fit for us, I will append those and come back to them. And you could do that in Gmail as well. So I will just kind of put those aside and save them for later because they take a little more mental work to work through those. And I will just answer the easy ones first. So I think that's just a good way to kind of get the bulk of them out of the way. And then you're kind of just left with a couple of the harder cases. And then one other thing I did want to mention here was a little time saver hack. Help Scout has this feature, but you can just do it in your notes as well. For any frequently asked questions that you guys get, I would just create saved replies for them. And, you always can personalize these because you don't want it to feel like a copy and paste thing. But when people just keep asking you the same question over and over and over again, it's just easy and it'll save you time to kind of have a response for those people. And then you can just personalize it a little bit at the beginning. So
yeah, those templates I think are really important also for making sure our company made a decision on how to respond to this type of inquiry, and rather than you trying to remember, what was that policy or whatever every time, it's just all built into the template, into that saved reply, and you just hit a button and boom, it automatically populates it and you can customize it for the person. So I think that's really important to have. But like you said, if you guys don't use Help Scout, just have Google Docs, or if you're on Apple, maybe Notes or Evernote or something where you can keep all those and copy and paste them as well. Yeah, huge time saver. And Tim's right too, because when I first got started, I wasn't always sure how to handle certain questions or inquiries. So it was nice to just boom, have it saved reply. Didn't even have to ask him. So that is helpful if you do want to onboard a team later. And this is kind of my last little tip here is handling, I think I said it already, handling those harder to answer emails. So to clarify a little bit, usually emails that I will pend and deal with after dealing with easier emails are sponsorship requests, because those will take time for me to look into the brand. Does this align with our core values? We actually have, Tim also sent me this when I first started. Do they value our time? Do we have a prior relationship with them? Does it look like they wrote us personally, or is this copy and pasted? Have we already covered this? Is there an opportunity for us to do a video about this that will serve people and we're not just being spammy or promo-y? I don't know if you wanted to add anything else to that. Well, yeah, and I see it here you have in the notes too, but speak to us like human beings, or is it just hey, we noticed you have a podcast and we'd like you to promote my business, is what it comes down to. And to take that, maybe that's going to go off topic, but I've told you too, you get some pretty nasty responses sometimes from people who are like, I'm writing for Tim, who are you? Or just people even just, I don't know, even beyond that, they're just being a butt. And for those, if any of you are that person, don't write us. I told Stephanie she has permission to just ignore any email from people who don't treat us like people, like human respect and decency. So that might be a little parenthetical, but I think it's important for you guys to do stuff that whoever is managing your email for you, like, don't make them hate their job, you know? So Stephanie was very good at being respectful and polite and replying nicely and things. But when the response comes back of just, you know, like, forget it. Whatever you're asking us to do outside of it being a refund or something, we're just like, refunds we just almost always do, unless it was clearly outside the scope of like, hey, we've tried to reschedule your session 3 times and you haven't shown up for any of them yet. Like, and our policy states that we don't even have to refund you at all if you're like no shows within this amount of time, things like that. But for the most part, just like, we just won't even respond. So anyway, I just saw that, just triggered that one for your note. Like, speak to us like human beings, or we're just going to ignore it.
Yeah, that's definitely another one. That's a more difficult case that I would probably pend and put aside once I've dealt with the easier emails, just like some more were those difficult customer service cases. People who are interested in having Tim at their event, because that's going to be like a long back and forth email chain, or, you know, on their podcast as a guest interview. Not everything's virtual. Or just a wild card question that I do not have the answer to, and I have to ask Tim, Delana, and Lennon because I'm not a certified YouTube growth strategist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunny's place in the chat says, I've read you should tackle your most difficult tasks or emails first while your brain is fresh. You've chosen to go the opposite direction. Is that just because that's what worked best for you? Kind of have a good picture of what you're up against here for the afternoon or the morning or whatever. And then you feel better just kind of understanding the big picture, then diving in. Or does it matter either way, you think?
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, if that works for you, these aren't like hard set rules or anything, just tips. I feel like personally, to see the email number go down makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I can get those out of the way. And then I'm like, okay, turn the brain power on to deal with the more difficult, or just difficult always, but, you know, more brain power that you have to use. And it's important for me because I don't want to, breeze through those, because again, I don't want people to feel like they're talking to a robot. I really want to put the time and energy into spending the time on those emails.
Yeah. Yeah. Their reasoning is like, the reasoning for it, they say, is that there's no brain fatigue or fog, which is likelier later in the day. But I agree with you. I think I'd rather just kind of know the bigger picture of what I'm up against. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do this, guys. Probably what we're saying. Like, if you are fresh and you want to crank out the hard ones first, go for it. If you want to take out the easy ones and be like, okay, now I know I have some time dedicated to this. I mean, I think that can work too. Yeah, whatever works best for you. I think one of the biggest concerns I had before bringing you and other people on to help me with this, Stephanie, is like this. How would a new person know what my relationship is like with someone and be able to reply? First of all, you don't reply as me. It's always very clear. This is coming from Stephanie. There's no like, none of that. I don't want to ever be in the situation where someone thought they were emailing with me, had a great experience, and then talks to me in person and I am just totally at a loss, you know? So you don't pretend to be me. No one's being deceived or no misunderstanding there. But I was like, how would like someone like Stephanie know that this is actually a YouTube employee who's emailing us from their personal account, which doesn't really happen. So it's a bad example, but, yeah, like maybe this is the event owner of this thing, or this person's done like tons of sponsorships with us before, and now they're going to turn them down, even though like, how do I know? And I think we came up with a good system that you can tell me or not. I didn't prep this with her, so maybe she's going to tell me this was a bad idea, which would be great. then will know not to do this, which is that like just search my email inbox and just look at some of like just see what our previous correspondence has been and get a feel for what our relationship is maybe like based on like, oh yeah, Tim talked to this person 3 years ago, because I don't delete email, we archive all of it in Gmail, so it all is still pretty searchable. Was that a good way of approaching that problem of like helping who I have relationships with, who might be a first-time person who sounds like they're writing really well and sounds like there's a relationship, but there really isn't, and things like that? Did that work well?
Yeah, because I think what the thing that ends up happening a lot of the time is people want to pick Tim's brain or like hop on a call, and it's my job to save Tim time, and like he just does not have time to do that with everyone. So what usually will end up happening is someone will email that in, and sometimes it really does sound like they're Tim's best friend, and I'm like, am I missing something? Should I just schedule that call? So I will go back and just see if there is any previous email, and sometimes I'll just ask like, do you know who this person is? And he's like, I have no idea. So then I just kind of know. But then sometimes there is kind of past emails, so I'll read through those threads and then just double check with Tim. I usually always just double check with Tim before scheduling something in person or a call. But that definitely helped a lot, I think.
I try to, if I tell someone I'm going to have a, like, oh yeah, like for example, a really big brand just reached out. I don't know if I can say it here or not, but they just reached out like last week, and I'm like, yes, let's get on a call and talk about that, which I normally don't do, but I try to make sure I let Stephanie know such and such person is going to email us about this thing. Go ahead and schedule a call when they do that. Mm-hmm. And so that when it does happen, you have a heads up and don't just put it into that bucket of like, we don't know, I don't really know what this is about. So yeah. So that you do know that some of those times, I feel like we haven't missed too many. I feel like or any really that I can think of. I feel like that system's been working out pretty well for us so far. So yeah. Let's jump into some questions here that we haven't answered that you guys are asking. I think are pretty good. Not pretty good. Really good questions. So Tronics Fix asks, Stephanie, how long did it take for you to feel comfortable in your role handling my email? Or just in general, like how long would you expect it to take for someone to start kind of get into a groove with a position like this?
Yeah, good question. I also didn't have any experience managing someone's calendar and inbox before this, so it might be different if they do. But for me, probably 3 to 6 months ish, because there are just so many random cases here and there that I just didn't know how to deal with. I think when I first joined too, Tim had like 6 or 7 events back to back. He was flying out to like every single weekend, so that kind of was a factor too. But yeah, it took a while. And I think if you are the person doing that role, or if you are like bringing that person on, I would still, even if you do have a process, I would still expect that you're going to have to spend a good amount of time helping them or like training them, answering a lot of their questions, because it's just all new. Even if they have managed someone's inbox before, they still have to get to know you and your business. So that takes time.
I think we categorize a lot of the main inquiries, like YouTube questions, product support. What are some of the big categories? I don't know. Or what are the other categories? Like, I know we had a couple of big categories, and we're like, for YouTube questions, here's how we handle those, and we put together a process in a system. If it's someone looking to do an interview with us, like interview us for their podcasts or whatever, then there's a certain process you go through to do some research on them ahead of time and make a decision on my behalf if you think this is worth this amount of time or that amount of time or whatever. Not necessarily as a criticism to the people who are like, you're not worth our time, but more of a like, we just can't do all of these. And so we have to pick the ones that we feel like are going to help allow us to serve people the best. It doesn't really have as much to do necessarily with audience size. Sometimes it does, but sometimes we're like, oh, wow, this person's heart and message aligns completely with ours. This makes sense for you to do, Tim. So there's a lot of different things that go into that. But figuring out ahead of time, here's how you handle these types of categories of emails. I think. Yeah, and then you've definitely taken it to another level since then, but I think that was helpful. The other thing I was thinking of that kind of goes along with that question is, how does someone find someone like you? Like, is there a website where we go to email help people associates.inc, or I don't know. I know how I found you, but where do you have any ideas or recommendations for people who are just like, how do I get started?
Like on the assistant end, if you want to be doing this?
No, if they want to find someone, like, how do I find my own Stephanie?
Oh, well, I was a Video Labs student. So I went through Video Labs back in 2018. And shortly after, I think, video creators announced that they were hiring. So that's how I got into it. But I know there's Upwork.com is like a way you can find contractors and freelancers. It depends, I guess, if you're using one of those or if you want a full-blown employee. But I would assume most people probably are looking for a freelancer or contractor. I don't really know. I know there's Fiverr too, but I don't really know of any other ones. I
would start, I think as like what we did is start with someone who's in your community, because I wanted, most important thing in this role, I think, as we're looking for someone, is someone who embodies your core values, because they are going to be a public facing person who's communicating on your behalf and your brand. And so you want someone who treats people the way that you want them to be treated, and you want people who are going to like go out of their way if that's part of your brand as well. And so our we have 6 core values, but I needed someone who, 3 external, 3 internal, but I need someone who is going to be people first, who's going to be results driven, who's going to be mission oriented, who is going to do it right, who is going to, what are the other 2? I just drew a blank.
Change is good.
Yeah, change is good. Yeah. And so we were like, I need someone who embodies these, and that was the most important. So I started with my existing audience, because I felt like someone, especially coming out of Video Labs, they've already invested. They believe in what we're doing enough to have invested money into this business. And so I started there. But Grace, who was doing it before Stephanie, who's still on our team, but now doing more internal type of operations stuff for us, I hired her through Upwork. And that process there, Upwork.com, is I just posted the job there, and I waited for people to apply, and I looked for people who seemed to have attention to detail, because in the middle of the job post I put, start your cover letter with how many subscribers I currently have, and then just kept going. And I wanted to see people who actually read the whole thing, paid attention to details, and then actually started their cover letter with how many subs I have. And then anyone who didn't start their cover letter with how many subscribers I currently have, I didn't even open them, just archived them. And then some people will be like, well, I can't start it with how many subs you have because you didn't provide a link to your channel. And those people I just archived as well, because I'm like, I need someone who can do a little bit of problem solving. Like, I told you that our company is Video Creators. I told you my name is Tim Schmoyer. A quick Google search will quickly bring up my channel. You can find it pretty easily. So I need people who are going to do some of that. And then I narrowed it down to 3 people. Grace was one of them, and 2 other people. And I then exported a copy of my inbox. I think I exported like the most recent 50 messages to an Excel spreadsheet using a Google Chrome extension. I forget what it was called, but you can probably find it with a couple of Google searches. And I just said, like, just tackle this inbox. How would you organize it? How would you respond and write actual responses to each message here in these text files that were functioning as pseudo emails? And then I just looked through all of them. They all got the exact same pseudo inbox, and I just like who's going out of their way to find the solutions and the answers here, who's just kind of giving one-word replies, and who's personable and polite and respectful even to messages that aren't being polite and respectful. So based on that, is after that trial is when I decided to move forward with Grace. So that's kind of how I handled that one, if you don't have someone in your community that you could hire and move forward with. But having someone who pays attention to detail, is organized, and something like that really makes a big difference in this as well. So Welcome to Chickenlandia asks, if you're not quite able to hire anyone and you just can't get back to everyone in a timely manner, how do you get over feeling guilty for that? Is that a question for me or for you? Maybe both of us.
Yeah.
I got over it by hiring somebody. But if you're not quite able to hire someone, I don't know. Like the guilty thing, the reason I'm hesitating, I know what my answer would be to it, which is like you just can't serve everyone. But how you get over the guilty part, like I don't know how you get over that, because people like you, Dahlia, I know I feel the same way. It's like I want to help everyone. I want to serve. I want to give as much as I can. And I think I just got to the place where I just literally physically couldn't. It's just not enough time. So I had to, in my head, it helped me not feel as guilty by knowing that I can't reply to all of you, but I'm working on something that's going to help more of you, which is 30 Days to Better YouTube channel or Video Labs, or I'm working on putting something together that's going to help way more than the number of people who are currently waiting for a response in my email inbox. I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but anything come to mind for you, Stephanie?
Yeah, I mean, because there are emails I can't get back to right away, especially if it is something I need to wait to hear back from Tim or the team from. So, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I will just like let them know, like, hey, I can, but sometimes I don't know. If it is something like that, I just know ultimately I am working on it. I'm not ignoring it. And I guess in the same way, like you are just one human and you can't spend all of your time doing comments and email because you have videos to make and other things you're doing in your business. And that is like what people want. They want content from you. That's how they found you, or whatever product or service it is you are providing. So I think just knowing like you're doing the best you can, like you're human, you have limitations, we all do. And just doing the best you can with that, like maybe blocking off time specifically, even if it's only like 15 or 30 minutes for comments and email replies, and just doing as much as you can in that time. Like there's literally the human limitations, like we can't do everything. So I think it gets to a point then where you do have to bring someone on. But for now, just like, you know, you're doing the best you can, and that's all anybody can really ask you to do.
Another guy who kind of used to do in podcasting space what I do in YouTube space lives a couple miles from me. We get together for lunch every so often. Cliff Ravenscraft is his name. And he said, he's like, Tim, I can't answer every email, but it's better to do for some what I wish I could do for all. And so even if you can't reply to all of them, like reply to the ones that you can. And then at some point you just have to cut it off, and some people will get responses and some people can't. And you can't feel guilty about that, because in your heart, you would love to do this for everyone, but it's better to do it for some people than for nobody. And then I got to the point where I was like, I can serve people better by them not getting a response from me. Because if it was up to me, you won't get a response. But Stephanie can get in there every day and make sure people are getting more timely responses that are helpful than if it was me handling everything. D. Niman asks, hey D, if you guys don't know D, that's Nick's brother. So good to have you here. Do you have the same team handling social media DMs? I actually shut down my DMs as much as possible, so you can only message me if we are friends, and I really only follow people that I know personally, and those who I don't are usually not the people who are following me back. So I try to shut down the DMs and the other things as much as possible, because that system doesn't scale. And I know if they message me there, they're just not going to hear from me. And I kind of want everyone to be like, oh, I can't DM him, so, oh, here, I can message on the website, which gets them into a system where that Stephanie handles that they will actually get a response. So I know people say you got to be as accessible as possible everywhere you can, but I'm like, I just can't. So yeah, I just try to, I point the place where that becomes an exception is LinkedIn, because I do accept requests, connection requests there. But when someone just starts DMing me and I point them to Stephanie, like just last week, someone be like, hey, I got this opportunity I want to run by you. And it was an opportunity like, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and how about you help me start it, and I'll split the AdSense revenue with you instead of, paying your consulting fee. And I was like, nope. Like, but they wanted to pitch it first. I said, sure, email Stephanie here. And they said, well, since I have you anyway right here, and they gave me the pitch, and I was like, nope. I'm like, you're not even following directions now. Like, I don't think it's gonna be good working relationships for us. And I get that pitch all the time, and the answer is always no. So I don't know. I just stop responding in that case too, which I don't like doing, but yeah. You have anything to add to that? Because you do help manage my social stuff, but I don't think you do much with DMs, right, Stephanie?
I actually answered a bunch this
oh, did
morning.
you? Good. Well,
yeah.
Everything I just said, go DM her.
Well, we also weren't doing a ton on Instagram until recently, so we're really just starting to get into that more. But you get a lot of spam on there, so it's like not a ton of real stuff. But if people do have questions, I'm like, just email us. We'll respond way faster there.
Yeah.
Or I actually did voice message someone today that had a question about where the consultations were to book. So I try to make it more personable because I think that is a cool tool with Instagram where it's a little bit more you can like show them that I'm a real person. I'm not just text that you're getting on a screen. So
History Treehouse asks, how do you deal with personal info that may come into email, like social security numbers, credit card numbers? If you hire a freelancer, how do you trust that person? Do you ever get social security numbers and credit card infos and stuff over email?
We have a tool called LastPass. So all of our like passwords and secure information like that, like I can't actually see it. Tim shares it with the team so we can get into different tools and things like that. As far as socials and like really personal information goes, I think like I do have access to like if someone sends out like a 1099 or something like that, if we've onboarded someone since I've been here, I can see it, but I mean, I don't care. Like I'm not trying to steal information. So I don't know. I guess I feel like too, you can probably speak more to this. Like when you're onboarding someone, you like slowly are kind of seeing if you can trust them, just like with the quality of work that they're doing. And then like didn't I sign an NDA? Like, so I couldn't share
NDA, but
information.
An NDA doesn't really stop people if they really want to. It just gives me a little bit more recourse if someone chooses to. I would say like I wouldn't hold back because of that. Like the amount of social security numbers or credit card infos that we get coming through our email is very limited from customers and clients and things. And even I can't see people's credit card information when they purchase from us and things. So it's something that's all pretty locked down. The exception is if a contractor fills out a 1099 or something like that, and the email confirmations get sent to us, and then maybe their socials on there or something. But even those services like HelloSign have been getting better at not sending the personal information to the email and things like that. So yeah, the trust thing is probably the bigger deal, more than the actual bumping into those things you mentioned. And trust is something that we kind of just take slow. Like, all right, don't do everything here, but right now I'm going through email and just assigning to you the ones that I don't want to respond to, and just start with those. And then before long we switch, and now it's the other way around. So Robbie and Gary, Gardening Easy. I am the typer for the two of us. We get thousands of comments per day. How in the world can I get through all of them? Yeah, comments, emails. I think the comments we don't even try. The emails, we do try to do as much as we can unless you're a jerk. And then you just get ignored. But for the comments, I think we just, like I usually respond to the latest video, a few hours after it's been published. And then after that, I got to kind of keep moving on to managing the team and the clients and the things that we're working on so that the business can continue to keep moving forward. I know some people do have a team that reply to all their YouTube comments, and I looked into that, but for the most part, if you send an email and then someone replies, like the chances of reading that response are pretty high. But if you write a YouTube comment, the likelihood of people coming and looking at your response is way lower. Like when I reply to people's comments, if I reply to 100 comments on the recent video, I might get like 2 or 3 replies. And I don't even know if the other people even have notifications enabled to see those or not. So I don't know. For us, I made the choice that it's not worth the investment there. But for some people, it certainly is. And I think that's great for for people who say that is. So anything else that we need to hit, Stephanie?
No, those are all my tips.
Cool. Well, guys, I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you. Welcome to Chickenlandia for moderating today in the live stream and putting these questions in front of us. And we are working really hard, guys, at trying to make more content for you that's helping you with the business side of what you're building on YouTube and your blogs, your podcasts, your Instagram followings. Those of you guys who are growing an audience online, we're trying to do more topics that'll really help you move forward with the business side of that. So hopefully this one was helpful. I'd love to hear feedback from you guys. I know this is a little bit off topic than what we normally talk about with like YouTube growth strategies and things. I think those things are important, but sometimes they're like, hey, I got the growth and now I don't know how to manage all these other things I didn't even expect that would come up. We're trying to address some of those. So tweet me at Tim Schmoyer or comment and let me know what you guys are thinking. And if you have any other questions that Stephanie can help you with, you know how to get in touch. Just team@videocreators.com is our general inbox there. So thank you to you guys for hanging out. Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing your advice and experiences with us. And we will see the rest of you guys next week for another Video Creators podcast episode. See you guys then.